Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone doing very good. I am Dr. Gokila Vani from Department of Commerce UG, Kristu Jayanti College. Today I feel very proud and delighted to present the topic service costing. In this current situation, we might have got many services from many industries, services, applications, and so much. I would like to start the service costing with this particular image. This image depicts that a various top 10 taxi booking applications. When you book a ride from your particular house to your office, the range will be different by the different applications. That's true, right? Sometimes based on the demand and the peak situation, the service cost charged by the particular application app will be different. So we always use it to compare with the too many applications, and finally we will choose the best service at a moderate price. So that is what our topic, service costing. Not only from the transport industry we are getting a service. If you want me to give another example, we can give an example like a doctor consultation. When you visit a doctor, a certain amount will be charged as a consultation service amount. And if the particular person is admitted in the hospital, per day for a per bed, how much is the cost they have charged by the particular hospital industries. So many examples we have to understand the term service costing. I will start with the meaning. Service costing refers to a cost accounting model. It is a one model under the concept of cost accounting, and which is used by many organizations like transport industry, hospital industry, even education institutions also will come under the sector service. If a person want to watch a movie, entertainment services are provided. They charge for per ticket how much is the cost for one show. So it is used by many organizations which they provide a service. A certain number of services will be provided towards their customer to satisfy their needs and their wants. Where all costs associated with delivering a specific service need to be calculated, right? Yes, that is what we are doing under the service costing. Whenever an organization provide or deliver a specific service will be calculated. And finally, it will be divided by the number of service units rendered. By using this method, the organization can allow them to determine what is the cost per unit of service delivered. So I hope you will understand the meaning of the term service costing. Now, features of service costing. We have listed out 8 important points which is relevant to features of service costing. In that, first one is intangible products. Second one, collection of cost data. Third one, unique and standard service. Fourth one, less working capital. Fifth one, cost per unit. Sixth one, internal or external service. Seventh one, cost classification by behavior. And last, eighth one, periodic or order-wise computation. We'll see one by one now. The first one is intangible products. When a service costing deals with the operating cost of products which does not have any physical form. If you are purchasing a product, like example biscuit or any dairy milk products, that will have a physical form you can see and you can feel by touching the particular product. The products can be varied. It can be a furniture or it can be a air conditioner or it can be a television, but the products will have a physical form, but it will have a tangible products. If you see the service costing, when they do some service, they will surely satisfy their customer needs and wants, but which does not have any physical format. That is the first and foremost features of service costing. The second feature is collection of cost data. The documents which they used for service costing will be included like cost sheet, bills payable, and daily log sheet and much more. If you take a transport industry, the drivers will have daily log sheet. If you take any particular hospital industry, cost sheet will be maintained. If it is an education institution, they will need to maintain what is a bills payable. So these are the collection of cost data. The third one is unique and standard service. If you take an example of education industry, the services are offered by particular organizations are specialized. They do service towards the students by educating them a particular program. So that's why they always specified an exclusive for a particular services. The fourth features of service costing is less working capital. Working capital means a day-to-day transactions. When we compare with the product costing or process costing, or even you can take contract costing, it will have a less working capital of direct cost of raw material or any direct expenses are comparatively low. The fifth point is cost per unit. So in this service costing, the company will try to determine the cost per unit. Examples are given here. We can calculate what is the cost for per ton for a per mile. Like that, we can even calculate for the transport industry how much is the cost incurred when they carry one passenger for a 1 kilometer. That is what the cost per unit for service costing. Next point is internal or external services. Service costing will include all the types of internal service what they do, even whatever services they render towards the outside the society. Then the seventh point is cost classification by behavior. In service costing, we can classify the cost into three: fixed cost, semi-variable cost, and variable cost. If you ask me what is an example for fixed cost, we can give that as a salary for a particular person. Semi-variable cost, it will be an example of every time that changes will happen in a particular cost. Example, raw materials. Variable cost, example is wages. The wages will differ based on the number of duration a particular labor is worked. And the last point is a periodic or order-wise computation. Service costing will be calculated on the basis of regular intervals. It can be a monthly or yearly or even order-wise computation also will happen in the industry of service sector. So these are the 8 features of service costing. Now, there are two cost units are involved. We always say that these are the two types of cost units. The first one is simple cost units. So when an organization calculate what is the cost for one passenger, here they determine only one character feature to determine the particular cost unit. That is what simple cost unit. The second one is composite cost unit. In this particular concept, where two or more characters are considered for the calculation of cost unit. Example, what is the cost for one passenger and for 1 kilometer? So in transportation cost, we always use a composite cost units to calculate what is a passenger kilometer and what is the cost for ton kilometer. I hope these two terms are understandable for you. I have given a few examples of service organization and their simple cost units are mentioned below. If you take an example of a service organization like water supply, the cost per unit will be per kiloliter. If a person is using a canteen services, what is the cost per meal? If we use a road maintenance, what is the cost per kilometer? For street lighting, what is the cost for per lamp? Like that, I have given it for boiler house, gas and private transportation. The different types of service organization and their composite cost units. So what is meant by composite cost unit? I hope you remember there are two characteristics are involved. Let's start with the first example, hospital. Cost per unit will be calculated under the hospital industry like per bed, how much is the cost for per day. If it is a hotel industry, what is the cost per room for per day? For electricity, how much is the cost per kilowatt for per hour? And the fourth one is very interesting for you, entertainment in cinema or theatre. So how much is the cost for per ticket per show? So this all the cost expenses, cost per unit will be calculated with the cost classifications of fixed cost, semi-variable cost and variable cost. Please remember those points. And other than that, I have given an example like boiler house, passenger transport and goods transport. Now, applications of service costing in the following industries. I hope even you can also tell me what are the various industries which are implying service costing in the particular cost sheet. The examples are transport industry, healthcare industries, education industries, hotel and hospital industries, telecommunication industry. Yes, when we recharge our mobile phone, based on the duration of 30 days, 60 days or 90 days, the cost amount will vary. So they determine using the applications of service costing. Banking and financial services, and finally we end up with electricity and power supply industry. So these are the examples of implications of service costing. Now, the last topic in this lecture, a difference between service costing and product costing. First, service costing. Under service costing, it determines the cost of providing a service. In the product costing, it will help the manufacturing industry to determine what is the cost of a product. Nature, service costing is an intangible services. But if you see the product costing, it is tangible outputs. Cost unit under the service costing will be calculated as per the service unit provided. Per passenger, per patient, per student. If you see the product costing, what is the amount we calculated to determine the selling price of particular product per unit, per batch, and how much is the cost per kilogram. Material cost under the service costing, it's very minimum. If you see the product costing, raw materials and packaging playing a significant role. So material cost is very vital role in product costing. Labor cost, in both the services and product costing, labor costs are involved, but major cost component in service costing are like salaries of a particular service provider, like doctors, service, teachers and drivers. If you see the product costing, it involves direct and indirect labor, those who are involved in the process of production. Then, overheads. Compared to the product costing, service costing overheads high, which are administrative and operational expenses. If you see the product costing, it is inclusive of factory, administrator, even the selling expenses also will be included. Next difference is work in progress. There is no work in progress when we have a service industries, because since services are consumed immediately, there won't be any work in progress. But if you see the product costing, in each and every stage, work in progress will exist. And the products will undergo different production stages. Standardization. Service costing is customer based, so it can be customized. If you see the product, it is usually standardized in the process of production. The last point is inventory. No inventory is maintained under the service costing because it is not required. If you see the product costing, raw materials, work in progress and finished goods are inventory, and which is very important for the product maintained. So this is the differences between a service costing and product costing. Thank you. I need to summarize the content, the discussion what we have done it today. We started with an example of a taxi providing a service towards the customer. Then followed by the meaning of service costing. After that, what are the important features of service costing? Then we have seen the two different types of cost unit, simple cost and composite cost. After that, we have ended up with the differences between service costing and product costing. I hope this session will give you a benefit to understand the particular topic. Thank you. Have a nice day.